Hello there everybody and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and it's review time. And this is a review of a film that I seen last week. I had the chance on my day off to go out there, and I thought, you know what, I've heard a lot of good reviews of this film and I'm very curious. I did a trailer reaction for it myself, and I thought after I've done the trailer reaction and it did get me interest, I thought, you know what, I'm going to check it out, and that's exactly what I did. And the film I'm talking about, of course, is none other than The First Omen. Now, before we get on to the film, I just want to talk about the state of horror as of late. The beginning of the year we had Night Swim, which was a hollow cash grab jump scare film. You had Imaginary, very much the same. And then you had another film very similar to The First Omen called Immaculate, which I haven't seen, but I heard didn't have the best of reviews. A lot of good things to say about it. And I think because the state of horror has been pretty bad as of late, and we're heading into April, we're in the middle, of April, not the beginning, we're heading into the middle of April, and so the beginning of the year you always get a load of crap that comes out that put people in bad slots after the Christmas period, things that they don't think are going to do pretty well at the theatres, so they hide them in the worst slot, right after Christmas, January to March. Then April, that's when things start to pick up. And what I can tell you with The First Omen is it is, for me, one of the best experiences with a horror film I have seen in a theatre for a very long time. I really enjoyed this. For me personally, what I heard is I had heard the buzz about it. The trailer only came out like a month or so, I think, before the film came out. I hadn't even heard about it. And I think because of the state of horror, I think studio executives didn't have the faith that this film would do well. And I think a lot of horror films right now, it's just quick cash grabs. It's let's get a film in the theatre with loads of jump scares, loads of hollow plot, characters I don't give really a shit about, and get to the gore, get to the jump scares, get to the frights. And for me, back in the day, it was more than that for horrors. For me, it was, you cared about the characters, the stories were interesting, and it wasn't always about how many jump scares you had in a film, but the atmosphere a film would create and the build up towards, the uncomfortableness that you would feel around you. That for me is more important, and I can tell you this film has that. It builds a lot of atmosphere, it makes you feel uncomfortable, and there's a lot of, I would say, women body horror that you see throughout it that's very uncomfortable, not like totally gory, but it's what it makes you feel. It's the uncomfortableness, and it's that kind of feeling of uncomfortableness and uneasy. And that's what I loved about this, and I loved the setting. And so let's talk about The First Omen. A young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. So that's your basic plot synopsis of the film. And what I loved about this is that, yes, it's a prequel, and as you know, a lot of studios, whether it's a sequel, prequel, a remake, they really want to cash in on success from the past. We're in the era of many remakes, many sequels. Well, I can tell you this for me was a remake, a prequel a prequel that worked. You had the first 3 Omen films, and then you had the remake. And you had a television show, I believe, as well. And for me personally, this worked perfectly. It felt real. It felt organically fit in perfectly with the very first Omen film. It's a direct prequel that goes directly into the first one, and its setting and its location feels so authentic and genuine, and it feels like this was made in the 1970s, and it's based in Rome in, I think, 1971, if I remember rightly. And it has some real life elements in when they had the riots during that time. It's featured within the plot of this story, and it centers on these characters. So you have the actress Nell Tiger who plays Margaret. You have Ralph Ineson, who plays Father Brennan. You have Sonia Braga, who plays Sister Sylvia. And then you also have Bill Nighy as Cardinal Lawrence. And then you have, and this character, it's Nicole Sorrance, and she plays Carlita. So part of the story is Margaret, the character that Nell Tiger plays, she's nearing the end of being, I guess, a fully fledged nun, and she goes to Rome to finish the rest of her training, and she goes to this orphanage. And during that time there, she sees things that she finds suspicious or not completely, there's some things that are puzzling her. And as she's there, she then obviously gets introduced to Carlita, this orphan, and a lot of the nuns and the priests around there are very kind of all about her. And there's something with this particular orphan that seems to be, bringing these nuns and that together. And there's all of these things kind of happen, and without any spoilers, she gets more in depth and starts to question things, and especially around Carlita and the nuns and the church. And she has Father Innes, who is basically there to warn her and basically give her information and be thoroughly, there for her. And then suddenly more dark things start to happen, sinister things start to happen, and there's lots of plot twists and turns. Some of them are very, very predictable. I thought some of them I kind of figured were going to happen, but when they happened, I was still very much pleased because I was that much sucked into the plot, into the the way this film had been created. Great cinematography, the setting, everything about it, the emotional connection, and the feels of uncomfortableness that you felt and being on the edge of your seat. That's what I loved about this. I loved the fact that it wasn't just a quick cash grab, jump scare, hollow horror film. It felt like the director really put a lot of time, a lot of effort into bringing this to the screen, and it really shows. And the director of this is Arkasha Stevenson, a female director, and I think that's one of the key points of making this film a success. It's because she's a woman director. This is all about women in an orphanage, nuns. It's about the human body, female body. It's about, the church conspiracies. It's about, manipulation, control. A lot of these very important elements, but it's done in such a realistic, authentic, organic way that it works. And the body horror elements with the nuns and the birth sequences and other things that go on. It's like I say, can be very uncomfortable. Not as on the gore level as you expect, but it's the atmosphere and the tone and you know, that the film sets that really draws you in and gets you fully fledged and involved. And Arkasha Stevenson, I thought she did a brilliant job as a director. I've never heard of this director before. I've never ever seen her, you know, any of her previous work, but this for me was a really well made horror film. And I think it's a shame that it hasn't had the promotion that it should have had from the beginning. And I don't know if this is due to, you know, the negativeness of Immaculate, or negative from the other films that came out previous, Night Swim, Imaginary, because, you know, them films were promoted a lot more heavier, and I don't think the results matched the movies and the, you know, the success of those movies, where this has been under promoted and you know, underutilized by the studio. I think this could have been a bigger hit on their hands if given a better promotional, you know, campaign, because I think it's one of those films that people are going to sleep on and, you know, not go to the theatres and see, where I think they should. I was looking at a few of the reviews, and the reviews generally have all mostly been positive, and they've all said the same thing. It's a well-crafted film. The cinematography, the acting is brilliant in this. All the actors and actresses do a great job. Like I say, Nell Tiger, who plays Margaret, she did a brilliant job in this. Ralph Ineson does a brilliant job in this. Sonia Braga, who plays Sister Sylvia, who is the abbess of the Visaria orphanage. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but that's sometimes how it goes, yeah. But she's the abbess of the orphanage, and she comes across as this wholesome, loving nun, but she has a sinisterness to her. And I thought it was great seeing that side and seeing how it all came together. Like I say, the plot was very interesting, how Margaret now gets sucked into, you know, being suspicious of the church, suspicious of her faith, and she really has to question a lot of things within herself. And you fully go on that journey with her, and there's twists and turns. The gore elements in the film work really well when you see them, and it's not, you know, just thrown out there for thrown out their sake. And the biggest thing, like I say, I loved about this is the fact that it's based in the 1970s, and it's a direct prequel to the first Very Omen that came out, and it fits in perfectly well with it. It really does. It's a perfect fit. It's, you know, one of those prequels that works, and it feels direct, like a direct prequel, and you could watch them back to back and you would not realise one came out in the 1970s and the other one came out in 2024, because of how it was filmed. The cinematography is great. It looks like a film from the 1970s. So Arkasha Stevenson has done a brilliant job. It's very much an underrated movie that I think's being slept on. The cast did a great job. The cinematography is fantastic. Like I say, it's the tone, the atmosphere, the suspenseness, that kind of uncomfortableness that drives the force of this film. Not just the gore, not just the scares. And, you know, they do a lot of kind of hints and, you know, Easter eggs to past Omen films throughout this as well. And like I say, it's great to see this film in the theatre, and I'm glad I had the opportunity. And I think it's a misfire by the studio to not promote this better and to get it out there more, because I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. And I wanted to push this because I did enjoy it. The month of April, it seems to be a strong month for horror. We've got this, The First Omen, great reviews. Get out there, check it out. We have Sting, the new giant spider film coming out, and another film I would like to check out when it's available on Shudder. If you don't know about Shudder, it is a subscription store service that does all horror content. It's got a few really great films on there, and one of them that's coming is Late Night with the Devil, which I would like to see as well. But I'm going to rate this, and I'm going to give it a very solid 7 out of 10 for cinematography, great cast, great story, the journey you go on, how it makes you feel, the uncomfortableness in the atmosphere it brings, and it really does feel like a fantastic prequel and a very faithful, organic prequel to the first Omen film. And I want to give a shout out to Arkasha Stevenson, the director of the first Omen, because I really think she did a fantastic job. And I think it's the fact, you know, a male director could have directed this, but I think the fact that it's a female director that obviously knows the human body, knows the woman body, the female body, she was able to bring a lot of that to it, a lot of the senses to it, and a lot of, you know, what comes with being a female and the female body, and those elements do play very well within the story of this movie. But yes, really enjoyed this. So 7 out of 10 for me for the first Omen. And like I say, if you haven't seen it in theatres, please check it out in the theatre, because it's still out there. I think it deserves to be watched on the big screen. I think it's a film that a lot of people, when they'll watch later on, are going to be very surprised with how good this film is. And so I think it's been a misfire from the studio to not really promote this or get it out there, because like I say, I didn't know about this till a month before it came out, and when I went to see it, I went in blind. But I've always had a curiosity about the church, about the Antichrist, about conspiracies, and about obviously the horror elements within these movies. So for me, it was a pleasant find, a pleasant watch, and I suggest you all check it out. But this has been the Entertainment Headquarters. Please like, share and subscribe. Get yourself out there. Let me know what you're watching. Let me know what you thought of the first Omen. Did you enjoy it? I thoroughly did. But yes, 7 out of 10. Keep on enjoying your movies. Keep on enjoying your television. Keep on enjoying all things entertainment. And I'll catch you all at the next one. We'll be right back.